Here's left. Pulls up, looking for the lead, and got it. Jalen Williams, 2 seconds, 1:11.109. Now SGA, probing, piercing, spinning, hanging for the lead, and SGA knocks it down. The Thunder finally get the defensive stop, and SGA puts them in front.
I'm Kenrich Williams. You're listening to Topic Thunder.
And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Top Thunder Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Hunsinger at Thunderchast. We're part of the Believe Network, and this podcast brought to you by the good folks at FanDuel Sportsbook. We will talk about FanDuel plenty of this podcast, but let's just get it out there. Let's not bury the lead. The Thunder finally get their revenge on the San Antonio Spurs. We got our get back tonight. We put belts. We gave them belt. It was amazing. It's good time. Vibes are high, and I think we've seen spurts, the past few weeks, since the last time that we played the Spurs. But I think this is the first time we can say we played Thunder basketball to its fullest in over a month. So, as you can see. Not by myself. I got my boys Focus and coming on here. So Focus, it's been a minute. As we were talking about on the pod, last time he was on the pod, we had a very different mindset about the season at that point.
Yeah.
41-1 the rest of the way. The record's still achievable. Give it some time.
Still possible. At least 70. That's my mindset right now. You need to still get 70. That's definitely achievable. But a lot's happened. This was a great way. If we came off a loss today, it wouldn't be really a great discussion, especially after this recent last month. But a lot of good to learn, to talk about from today. A lot of good adjustments. I think some minor stuff that will get ignored. And obviously, anytime you beat a team this good, like the Spurs, right, 2 seed right now, +7 net rating. Beat you guys 3 times. It feels good. So. I'm excited to talk about it. I have a lot of notes I made.
Yep.
I guess it's your turn. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Cone. I think you was on last week, so you've got to talk about some good vibes of the Thunder here recently.
Yeah. I told you we were beating the Spurs when we talked last time. I told you we were going to get that win. The Thunder are just a better team. The Spurs are really, really good. Focus was saying, the Spurs are really good, and it's what I talked about because I made a YouTube video after we lost last time, and I said, "Do the Thunder have a Spurs problem?" And I was like, "No, it's just a really good team." I think more so the NBA has a Spurs problem because the Spurs are really good, but they're flawed. We focus a lot on the Thunder's flaws, but the Spurs are not a great 3-point shooting team. They've shot really well. Stephon Castle, legitimately, I'm not even joking, has about half of his threes this season only against us. He and Dylan Harper have been unable to hit threes the entire season other than against us. It's been crazy. And tonight, they didn't shoot terribly from 3, but it came back down to earth a little bit. I felt like we attacked really well offensively. I think defensively, this was one of our best games in a minute. The guys' defensive intensity was unbelievable in this one. And I just, it's good to go ahead and show that, hey, the Thunder don't have a Spurs problem. It's just a really good team that, kind of caught us off a couple nights, especially, I think, back and forth with the Christmas and the December 23rd game. Mark said it today. The team didn't have time because of the holidays and stuff to practice, to adjust all that much between those 2 games. And even still, I felt like the process on Christmas was good. We just didn't hit threes. And tonight we hit some threes. And we were kind of doing layup lines sometimes, even with Wemby's defense out there. It was just a really confident, really good performance to show that, hey, we're still the best team in the league. So it was good. It feels good to go ahead and grab a win.
Yep, absolutely. And, we're going to talk about that with this segment. Let's call the single large item. So, guys, there's a lot to talk about in this game. There's so many things. Focus, you said you took notes. So I like the initiative. So I'm going to give you the first single large item of the game. What was your big standout?
I tweeted about it, not really thoroughly, but if you guys remember 2021 Jazz versus Clippers, Game 6, when Terrence Mann went off for 37 points, right? It was just a bunch of corner threes. I felt today was very reminiscent. The Thunder, I like the Clippers' goal was get Rudy Gobert out the paint, get him in rotation, right? Because as good of a rim protector as he is, and even though Wemby is extremely agile for 7'4", end of the day, he's 7'4". He's not going to have the fastest feet out there, right? So force him into rotation, force him to get away from the rim. And I thought the Thunder did a really good job at that. Wemby's an exceptional defender. You can make an argument greatest ever. But his one flaw is probably still he's not the smartest defender ever, especially when he's helping off the ball, right? A weak side defensively. And I thought there was a lot of times today he's going to overhelp to try to protect the rim. Thunder, someone will have a clean drive to the rim on. First 2 free drives of the game, drive, penetrate, immediately flip it out. Thunder's offense gets going. So I think that was definitely a clear point of emphasis in this matchup. I do agree with Cohen. They did do it a bit in the Christmas matchup. But last time I feel like they were too focused on just getting the corner frees, just getting like the initial corner free shot. This time it was more of a balance. Sometimes we're going to pass out of it and continue flowing the offense. Sometimes we're going to shoot initially. And obviously it worked a lot better today. I think the Thunder had – I can't confirm this, but I think the Thunder had around 60 points in the paint today, which is definitely
they were attacking. Yeah. And I mean, I think to what you're saying, the big thing for me compared to Christmas, because I think the process was somewhat similar, was the quick decision making. Like last time, it felt like, and I talked about this last time, I think like right after the Christmas loss, the first one we did after that, was that I was like, can guys like shoot a catch and shoot three? Like put that shot up.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate. Or we were attacking closeouts, but what we're doing is like we would get the corner three and then someone would choose not to shoot and then would like hesitate for a moment and suddenly the defense isn't in rotation anymore. And now it's like we're just starting from scratch. This game, it felt like they had a lot better in terms of they were like, am I going to shoot the three or am I going to attack off the dribble or am I going to swing it? Like immediately quick decisions. The second that the ball touched someone's hands, a decision was being made. And that is the difference is like, yeah, we're not always going to shoot great, but we're still able to win some of those games in large part because a lot of the times we do make those quick decisions. But there are sometimes against these really high-level opponents, especially with a rim protector like Wemby, where you can overthink it a little bit too much. And that's honestly his biggest superpower is because he's so intimidating. Every offensive player in the world is going to overthink. Like, I mean, I drive to the basket. I play. I'm like, 6'1". I can't imagine driving to someone who's 7'4". Never mind a dude who's like 6'5", 6'6". Like, I'm going to get blocked probably. It's intimidating. And I feel like this game, they played like they weren't scared at all of that rim protection. Like Focus said, they got Wemby in rotation. They got him off balance and continued to force him to make those quick decisions, generating us getting to the free throw line because other guys have to step over and help because Wemby's not, really where they need him to be. Or J-Dub and Shea are getting to the rack and Aaron Wiggins is getting layups. And like Alex Caruso got some shots in the paint. And, shout out to J-Will. He's shooting a turnaround midi fade over Wemby and knocking it down. Like they didn't play scared of him at all in this game. And that's what you have to do. You can't overthink it with Wemby. And I also think on the other end, they did a great job defensively attacking him too. Like, be physical with Victor Wembanyama. He is 7'4", but get up in his face. He fell to the ground a million times in this game. And honestly, it's probably what you have to do is just be physical. You're gonna send him to the free throw line sometimes. Kenrich Williams got up in his face and, he got a foul call, his head hit his chest. And like, at least even if you get a foul call there, you're forcing him to the ground. You're tiring him out. So on the defensive end, he's not able to be this game-breaking force quite to the level that he typically is because he just doesn't have the energy to do both. Like, I thought their game plan of attacking Wemby on both ends was so good in this game.
Oh, yeah, I agree for sure. Like, in defensively, like, the big thing is we didn't really let him get to his spots. Like, especially like in the Christmas game, like, it felt like he was getting to that, like, mid-post, like, on mismatches, like on Caruso, on Case, and like smaller defenders and just shooting right over top of them. Of course, he had a couple of drives and he had some nice finishes at the rim, but like a lot of his points were just off of like putbacks and like second chance points. Like he didn't do a lot of like the self-creation, like, mid-range shots, or I don't even think he hit a three tonight. Like he was not as effective as a scorer as he was in the first few matchups. And, you can chalk it up to an off night, as I'm sure Spurs fans probably will, but this Thunder defense has been a historic defense, going on 2 seasons now. So, like, I don't think it's a coincidence that those two things are coinciding. And, like you said, Cone, earlier, like, Mark didn't have a chance to, like, really throw in adjustments or have any extra practices because of the holiday. So, like, we wasn't able to implement changes in how we was able to guard Victor. And that's why he got a lot of the same looks in both of those games. Now, we're making it a little bit harder for him. And, if you take that out of San Antonio's offense, makes everything a little bit more difficult. And then also agree, like offensively, I really clocked it in the third quarter. Obviously we was up 3, I think, at halftime, and we scored 40 points in that third quarter to kind of blow the game out wide open. Of course, they tried to come back in the fourth quarter, but the third quarter is where we did our work. And like the first 5 possessions, it was like Wiggins in the corner, it was Kaysen in the corner, even Shea in the corner. And Wemby didn't even like make a motion to go to the corner. Like he was just content on roaming and like being a rim deterrent. And, a couple of those shots. I think Wiggs hit a 3. I think Kaysen hit a 3. Shea, somebody actually closed out on him because, he's the MVP. You actually got to do something with him. And that led to the awesome shot fake into the pass for the Chet lob. We generated so many good actions out of Wemby's reluctance to guard the corner 3. And, obviously, Wemby's a good defender. Like you said, he's got incredible length. So, even if he makes a mistake, he can still double back and, correct that a lot of the times. But if you are basically forcing him to play the way that he doesn't want to play, it makes things a lot easier for your offense. And I think that the Thunder, I'm not going to say that they have completely figured the Spurs out because, Wemby is a matchup problem that's going to continually evolve. But I think that they unlocked a little bit of something, at least offensively and again, defensively too.
And I think also I know a lot of people wanted to see Chet guard Wemby all the time, and he did at the beginning of the game. Mm-hmm. But I do think there was a lot to a smaller person guarding Victor Wembanyama. Kenrich Williams was unbelievable in this game guarding Wemby, being physical. I thought Jada played incredibly well too guarding him because Wemby, if he is shooting a fadeaway midi over you, that's honestly you're winning on the defensive end. Mm-hmm. Anybody taking that shot is fine. Chet's not going to be able to continuously block that shot. He'll still be able to contest it, but also when you kind of get someone smaller up into his body, it just makes things a lot more awkward for him. And I think J-Dub in particular is really good at that. He's really strong. He's got a lot of length. He's got really good timing with his hands. And he's someone that, it ultimately is really beneficial defensively for us to have Victor Wembanyama or Chet Holmgren elsewhere being able to roam, be that shot blocker. And that way, if Wemby does get down low, if he manages to back someone down, which he's not really doing very often. Wemby isn't a back you down post kind of player. And, if you have Chet be able to come over and help or, be a lengthy contester to that corner 3 if he needs to, there's just a lot of benefit to that scheme. And I felt like they executed it decently at times, but not super consistently the last few games. Especially in the game in the NBA Cup, I felt like they did a pretty good job at that. Just the offense didn't ultimately hit all that much, but in this game was easily the best that they've executed that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the thing with Victor, he's 7'4", 7'5", obviously. So when you put a smaller guy on him, his center of gravity is way off. He's not really going to get that initial big push because the guy's 6'8", right? They're prepared to take that overall bump. And like you said, Wemby doesn't really back down like that. But the biggest advantage when you put a smaller guy is you can kind of just push Wemby away from the paint, right? If you have someone like Chet, Hornstein, if he played, obviously, they don't really have the agility, the movement to stay through these screens and stay through the pick and roll coverages that could eventually get Wemby all the way in the paint. Mm-hmm. But when you have someone like Kenrich Williams, J-Dub, they can pressure all the way without really feeling Wemby's going to back up me with his agility. Because he really can't do that against a true wing defender. So that's one of the big benefits. And obviously, Chet off the ball, you can definitely see the potential there. He had 2 really good contests on Wemby at the rim. But obviously, the help side blocks, right? Yeah. Because the Thunder are still going to help on Wemby, even in those face-up situations. Just a bit. They'll show a dig here occasionally, probably from someone like AJ, Joe, Shea. Just show some hands quickly. And once the ball gets to the opposite side of the floor, you have Chet ready to obviously protect the rim. I think he had 3 or 4 blocks today.
The team as a whole got a million blocks in this game. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. This entire team. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great the intensity was awesome. It's felt really ever since since they won that Grizzlies game, the last few games the defensive intensity has been up. And I was gonna make also having Chet off of Wemby helps with the rebounding thing too, especially when we're down Isaiah Hartenstein. If Chet's guarding Wemby, then it's especially if they're running the Cornet Wemby lineup or just really Stephon Castle gets way up there for offensive rebounds the rebounding becomes a bigger problem too if Chet's guarding Wemby because we need someone to go in there and fight for those boards, and same thing with Jay Will. So having someone smaller to guard him, if you're able to keep him out, it just allows easier box outs as well, which has been great to see also with Jay Will back is the screen setting from him, and also even if he's not grabbing a million rebounds, which he got a double today, right? Yeah, I was gonna say he had a double. But even outside of that, just him being a physical force to box out for these guys is something they've really been missing recently, with it just being Chet and Carlson as the only 2 bigs.
Yeah, and I mean, we actually won the rebound battle by 1 tonight.
We did.
So
And that was with Cordet getting like 5 on 1 possession.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, that's 100% true. Yeah, I do want to like commend Chet because offensively, like it's still not there. Like this is a far cry from what we've seen from Chet the past couple weeks, since the last Spurs matchup. But defensively, I think that he really rose to the occasion. It really felt like in the first few matchups with Wemby this year that, for lack of a better term, he was playing scared, like offensively and defensively. And I wouldn't say he's playing scared offensively as much as it's smart, but defensively, he wasn't backing down. Like he was going to the rim, he was contesting. Even though Wemby dunked on him early on, like that didn't change his demeanor, that didn't change his mindset. Like he still was going
even
up
on
and
that shot, he got a finger on it. Like I didn't see him top, but he like got like a finger on that. And he didn't score on Wemby all that much, but he shot that turnaround mid. He was just a little strong, and he got at least one. I think might have been a couple fouls on Wemby, just attacking him, like force him to make those decisions and get to the line. I thought it's a matchup where Chet's never going to be able to be the offensive player that he is going up against. This matchup in particular, because that's the way Wemby's one of the greatest big defenders of all time, and it's a team that. With Wemby, he's going to make life difficult. You get him in the post, even if it's Chet on someone smaller, Wemby's there lurking. Like, it's kind of just smart offense for him to not take that many shots and defer to, Shea a little bit more or dub on those cuts, which also I felt like the cutting in this game was really good. Like, that was another big thing is attacking this defense. Sometimes they get a little bit, Wemby's there and he's able to, come over and help if it's just someone taking someone off the dribble. But if you go ahead and hit them with that back cut, like that's a spot where they leave a lot of guys open. Shea got that wide open look on the inbounds from Caruso. Dub got a couple of those. I think Aaron Wiggins had a really good one as well in this game. So yeah, I thought Chet was fine. Like offensively, it'd be cool if he put up like 20 points, but I think his defensive impact was huge in this game. And I like to see that he was a little bit more aggressive, even if it got him blocked on the 3 that one time. And, he didn't hit that midi he shot over Wemby at that one point. He just forced Wemby to work. And that's really what you need from him.
Yeah, he actually shot.
Yeah, it kind of sucks for
in like all the Spurs matchups. He just had 4 tonight. I think his previous low was like 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like for Chet it kind of sucks because he has like 2 main strengths, right? Again, when he plays against other bigs, one's obviously agility, and the other one's his length and his ability to shoot. And when Wemby can close out obviously so well, it kind of affects his shooting. And obviously, Chet still doesn't really have the fastest release off the catch. And then agility, he gets by him a few times, but it feels like every time he gets by him, Wemby's just gonna foul him or get that little blocking foul. Mm-hmm. So it kind of sucks for him in this matchup offensively. But really, like Cone said, as long as he can stay as like kind of just zoning the paint right against such a good driving team in the Spurs and help on the board, that's really all you want. And another thing is, Wemby's always respecting Chet in terms of like he's staying gravitated towards him for the most part at all times, which really does open up driving lanes. Like you saw how the offense kind of changed when Chet was in versus J. Will. It wasn't necessarily worse, but Wemby was much more comfortable helping off and being more aggressive in the rim. That forced more rotation. So I'm definitely interested to see what the matchup. I think they have one more in February.
Yeah, we got one more.
If Hardenstein comes back, yeah. And Chet's playing the 4 because I think in the first 2 matchups he could have done a little better when Barnes, Vassell, and Castle, they all took turns guarding Chet. I think he could have done a lot better. So I'm interested to see Chet play the 4 next time they play. But this is really how he's supposed to play, right? When he's playing the 5 against Wemby. It sucks for him. He's not going to have that high scoring, outplaying Wemby moment. But it's the best way to, help the team win.
Yeah. Yeah, Chet would take the W over the matchup W any day, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Colin, what is your single large item for the game?
I'll leave you Shea. I'm gonna go with Dub. Dub was great, and now 3 straight games where he's been really efficient. He went 9 of 15, didn't shoot a 3 in this one. Knocked down a couple of free throws, 20 points, 3 assists, 2 steals. Dub's playing with a lot of confidence right now, and we would like to see him shoot 3s, like it'd be great, but also it feels like in the absence of that, we've upped the volume a little bit in some of the other guys' 3-point shooting. And I think that's part of why the shooting has, been fluctuating, is because we're relying on these guys to knock down these looks. It hasn't really happened yet. Tonight it happened more. Caruso, Wiggs, Joe, those types of guys knocking down some shots. Kaysen hit at least 1. I think he knocked down 2, if I remember correctly. But I've loved the way we've been playing with Dub recently, specifically where he's using that speed, that length, that downhill quickness, and that physicality. He's attacking the rim a lot more. And specifically, it feels like in Dub minutes, we're playing with a lot more pace. Like when he is the number one option, or even when he's the two sometimes, if he's going to get the ball, it's not like as much, give it to J-Dub and let him cook for a full shot clock, try to create his own shot. It's pass it to him and right off the catch, attack downhill immediately before the defender can react and get to the rim, or, kick it to a shooter, or sometimes it results in that stop bump midi, but it feels like some of those middies are coming more like free throw line and below, as opposed to, out there on the perimeter, like just inside the 3-point line. And also a lot more like we get the rebound and it's like go Dub, go, like, he got that steal that resulted in a dunk. It just feels like he's playing really, really well. A lot of the offense has reminded me of what he did specifically in game 5 of the NBA Finals, the 40 ball, where a lot of it was those transition opportunities. It's shots at the rim. It's attacking downhill, finishing through contact. Sometimes it's the floater, but it's just him being the physical, aggressive, explosive downhill force that he is. Like, we're going to need the 3 ball to come along a little bit. He's not taken very many. He hasn't hit one in a few games, but at the moment he can be most effective. And I think always is the most effective when he's being that explosive downhill player. And he's really been utilizing that and taking that a little bit more to heart. And it feels like it's resulting in better offense for the team. So I just like the way they've been using him. I like the way that he's been attacking. And specifically for this Spurs matchup, J-Dub is like the unlocking piece, because Shea's going to kind of go and get his. He's had some down games, but I mean, this game he was unbelievable. We're going to have to knock down some threes, which is typical in almost any game in the NBA. But if Dub is able to be aggressive and, like, just, again, he was getting like layup lines out there, even with Victor Wembanyama on the court. Dub's doing that. Like, the Thunder aren't going to lose more than like a game to the Spurs in a series.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things, like you were talking about, is that Dub loves to play like at a fast pace off the ball. And when they're playing against, like, again, like I talked about earlier, Wemby was constantly in help rotation. When he's playing full force, downhill, he's gonna able to get those quick little layup lines because he's going at such a fast pace. I thought he was really good today. I thought AJ also had some really good attacks off the catch. Not all of them resulted in the buckets or anything, but both of those two playing next to each other in the lineup, I love, again, obviously him and those two and Shea. It brings a lot of ball handling to the floor. I thought starting Wiggins today in absence of Dort also opened up a lot in terms of dribble penetration. And this is not a shot to Dort or anything, but obviously like one of his limitations is really attacking closeouts, even though he's improved at that. And once you put Wiggins, he's a capable playmaker, capable finisher. It opens up so much more on the floor. It just makes it so much harder to defend the Thunder, right? There's only so much you can do in help defense. So, again, the game plan today from the offense was just really good. I'm sure someone's going to bring up Shea eventually, but he was like every single time he touched the ball, it was shot. Either he's getting to his mid-range, he's either getting to the rim, or just an open free, and Wemby's kind of hesitating to really contested, like you said earlier. So, again, I'm really interested to see what San Antonio does next, because you just can't have Wemby being indecisive on the back line any longer. This is really not going to work over a 7-game series. I'm probably expecting them to throw a really complex zone eventually. Like, that just feels like obvious, right? Something maybe like Denver did, having the big in the middle of the floor trying to take away the mid-range. Now, obviously, they have Wemby, who takes up a lot of space on the floor. So, the last matchup will be hopefully and maybe the best one between all of them. So I'm really excited to see. Yeah,
I actually want to point it while you mentioned zone. I do want to mention we also ran zone a little bit, specifically in the non-Wemby minutes, and I think that's a huge that's a key. Like, we maintained in the non-Shea Wemby minutes, even, or non-Shea non-Wemby. Those minutes in particular are ones like we have to win. No Shea, no Wemby out there, got to win those minutes. And I felt like, we ran a lot of those zone possessions on those types of matchups because the Spurs really don't have a guy to bust the zone like that. Like, they don't have a Shea and knock the mid-range jumper, or Chet, who's kind of got that automatic, like, free throw line midi. Like, they're going to, I think at one point they put like Stephon Castle in the middle.
Yeah.
At one point he got to the free throw line, but Castle's not like a knockdown mid-range jumper or anything like that. Like he's not going to be that zone buster. And I felt like it helped us maintain, specifically at that start of the second quarter, no Shea, no Wemby. Like we really held strong until we got to halftime, and we're up a little bit. And then of course third quarter we went ahead and just played our best basketball, and kind of the game got out of reach at that moment. But I felt like the zone was a nice touch. I was expecting us to go a little bit of zone tonight because we didn't really run it that much at the Spurs. It is just hard though with Wemby being who he is. But if Wemby's not out there, like make somebody beat you in that zone. Like don't give up the threes, force them to attack 2 to 3 defenders that have these quick hands, that if you attack off the elbow, you've got 2 guys who have those quick hands and can quickly get back out to the perimeter and guard that corner 3. Like make those guys beat you. And I also felt like we did a better job in some of those possessions, but just in general of guarding those corner 3s. And I think a lot of that was Dub being so good on Wemby that we didn't have to help all that much.
Yeah, no, Dub was absolutely phenomenal. It feels like, he's starting, the Grizzlies game in which, like Shea and Chet and like all those guys didn't play. I think it was really good for Dub to, kind of get his swagger back, for lack of a better term. Like, he's a guy that's, he's obviously important to this team. We've been reacclimating him with this injury. He came out and said, talked about the mental side about how this isn't something that's just like, oh, my wrist is good, and like, I'm going to be at that level again. Like it's a process. It's like a very long process. And the fact that he's out there playing right now, he should be commended for. So I think that he kind of got out of his head a little bit. That fourth quarter in the Grizzlies game was huge for him. Yeah. And then he was able to parlay that into, being a complimentary connective type player, against the Heat. And then tonight, he's just a force in transition. And I've been saying since last year, like, if Dub gets to go in transition, he's one of the best players like in transition in basketball, just because the combination of his speed, his explosiveness, his power, and his just relentlessness, driving to the rim. Like he's a force in transition, and he absolutely was tonight as well. So very excited to see that out of Dub. He obviously, focused. You mentioned AJ as well, his relentless pursuit of the rim and his paint touches and how important that is for us. It's important to notice, like, Dub was out there, those last 2 games for the Spurs, but it wasn't this version of Dub. Like it was like I said, still reacclimating to the offense, not as confident. And honestly, Cohen, you're talking about how Dub's like, being aggressive, getting downhill, not being decisive, and, not just like dribbling the air out of the ball. He was kind of doing that a lot early on as he was working his way back. Like there was multiple possessions where I was like banging my head up against the wall because it felt like he was just like 20 seconds into a step backward, then, passes a grenade off. But it feels like, he's being much more decisive, whenever he has the ball in his hands. He's not just eating a possession, he's dribbling the basketball, and, he's getting downhill, he's being aggressive, he's playing with force. And I think that until that 3-point shot gets there, it was last year, like I think that's the best thing that we can hope for with Dub right now. And, it's shown that it's effective. Like even with Chet not contributing offensively, that's enough for us to beat a really good team, in the Spurs. So yeah, shout out Dub. Can't say enough good things about him. AJ Mitchell, 6th man of the year. Like I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, man. I miss me with Jaime Jaquez, miss me with all those other guys. Like if this game is not an indicator for like why AJ Mitchell is so important to this team, specifically like coming off the bench, like whenever Shea's off the floor, like you're just not paying attention. Like you look at the last 2 games, like whenever Shea went off the floor, our offense just cratered. And that's when the Spurs went on these huge runs, and then Shea would come back into the game and the lead would be so insurmountable. The Spurs would have so much rhythm and our guys would be so cold that, we couldn't really do anything. Now Shea goes off the floor, Dub's playing better, obviously, but now AJ he's just unflappable confidence-wise, man. Like it doesn't matter who's in front of him. He's going to get to the rim. He's going to get a paint touch. Wemby was in the paint multiple times. AJ Mitchell is like one of the shortest guys, if not the shortest guy on our team. Did not care. Drove right at Wemby multiple times. Had a couple strong finishes. Had an M1. Like when those 2 guys are clicking, it makes everything on the team like so much easier. So shout out to them.
Yeah, I mean AJ is like he's big. I mean specifically, going into the playoffs. Like if the Thunder don't make a trade, like this is the team. AJ is so critical. If we're going to go back to back, we need AJ like this. We need him being aggressive. We need that confidence. I mean, it really felt like the Thunder were just relentlessly getting 2 feet in the paint. And AJ is one of those guys who is most consistent at getting to that spot while also being a very, capable defender. Like, that's the other part of it is AJ is one of our better offensive players, but also he holds up so well as a defender. He fights his butt off. He's physical. He's got really good, like kind of a very stable center of gravity. It feels like two big defenders don't push him off, or big offensive players don't push him off his spot too often either. AJ is just really good. Like, I find myself tweeting every single game that we play, AJ Mitchell is really good. Like, it's a nightly tweet for me at this point. I literally tweeted today, nightly AJ Mitchell is really good tweet, because that's just what he is. And it's crazy to see in year 2 the confidence from him as one of those guys that I think is the best on the team at making those quick decisions. He's not afraid. We saw, I think it was the Grizzlies game where he was playing really well and he was really efficient. And towards the end of the game, he got a little bit, out of control. Like, there were some shots that didn't go up and his efficiency tanked. But what I appreciated was he was like, I'm just going to keep attacking. Like, I'm going to keep making those decisions. I know who I am. And that's what you need. Even when shots aren't going down, we just talked about with Chet, even though he's not shooting a bunch, and he's not, scoring a million points, the fact that he is attacking Wemby and forcing him to make those decisions, every time you force him to make a decision, it creates the opportunity for a mistake. And I think AJ is so good at that. He's one of the best on the roster at trying to, make the opponent make a mistake.
Love that. Mistake-free basketball and force mistakes on the other team. All right, guys, we've gone 30 minutes into it now. I mean, we got to talk about the MVP because as good as all these other guys were, if he did not have this performance tonight, it might not have been the same story. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander finished this game with 29 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, but that does not tell the full story for how good he was tonight. He had 10 points in the first quarter. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I'm looking at the wrong box score.
He had 13 in the first quarter, I believe.
Yeah, I was looking at the wrong. He had more than 29 too. He had 34 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. But the thing that stands out on the box score is the 4 blocks. And you talk about how the team was coming out playing the best defense that they've played really all year. And you hear the teams talk about Shai as a leader and how he is a guy that leads by example. He's a guy that he's the first one in the gym. He's the last one to leave. And he, like I said, he leads by example. And it's the same thing on the court. When your star player, who is like one of the best offensive engines of all time, MVP, considered the best player in the world by most, if not many, if not most, is out there going against an opponent that you've lost to 3 times in a row, and he is giving you 4 blocks as a guard. Like, it just makes you want to try.
One of those on Victor Wembanyama,
and it was nasty. It was absolutely nasty. And it was a lob too. So that's a position in which, it's what am I trying to say? It puts you. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
He shouldn't be able to do that. That's ridiculous.
It's opportunistic. Basically what I'm trying to say for a lot, because it catches you off guard most of the time. And for Shai to come weak side and meet the 7'5" monster at the apex of him catching the ball and swat the ball. People want to rag about Shai because he's not a guy that's just going to go off 2 and just cram it in somebody's face. He does every now and then, but people don't look at Shai and think about his explosive athleticism. He's still an athlete. He can get up there. He can still make some plays out there. He's a different kind of athlete. He's not as explosive, but he's still a very athletic player. And then, talking about his process offensively, man, he was just all night. He was probing, piercing, getting to the mid-range, getting to a step back. Again, a guy that just, it feels like, not that he's figured out Victor Wembanyama, but he doesn't fear him. And it felt like it got better as the game went on. He was driving right at him. Obviously, he had the push off, that's whatever. But later in the game, he drove right by him, and it was like he didn't even see him. He just drove right by him and finished with the left. And Victor was swatting at the ball, and he just couldn't get it. And then, of course, we talk about Shai and his even keel demeanor and how calm and how chill he is. Shai got a second technical of his career tonight. I'm pretty sure that's his second technical. I know we have one very early on in his career.
I thought I saw a tweet tonight that it was number 2. Also, yeah. Mark got a technical tonight too.
And good on them, because this is the play we was talking about before we started podcasting, in which I think it was Champagny that fouled Shea on the 3-point attempt, and even the broadcast, which we'll talk about the broadcast in a little bit, was like, isn't the hand part of a ball? Like saying all these just a little jabby one-off things, and then you see the replay. And it's clearly on the wrist, on the forearm, it's a clear foul. And Shea was beside of himself whenever it was happening. And then Dagnall, of course, got the technical, but that's not even when Shea got the technical. It was all night. Castle was checking Shea, and this is game 4 of Castle checking Shea. So they've been guarding. He's been guarding him for 4 games now, and Castle has kind of, he's played really good. Castle's a really good defender. And tonight he started out really good. Shea missed, I think, his first 3 or 4 shots. He started out 1 of 4, and then he kept, obviously he kept going, chipping away like he does. And he hit a 3-pointer in the 3rd quarter. He did his celebration, which I feel like we haven't seen Shea's 3-point celebration in a long time. But he brought out the 3-point celebration, looked at Steph Castle and said, "You ain't crap." And, said something else along the side of it. But Castle got under Shea's skin in a way that I haven't seen many players do. I think later in that quarter also, they kind of bumped into each other as they were changing possessions when Castle was trying to inbound, and Castle kind of pushed Shea, and Shea kind of stood his ground, and then backed off. And it was just really funny because I can't remember, it was somebody on Gilbert Arenas podcast saying that I think Canadians are soft. And you kind of step up to them and they're quick to back down. Shea wasn't backing down. Shea was ready for that smoke. And of course they got the double technical. So shout out Shea, man. Just, leading by example, bringing up the intensity on defense, not backing down, just standing up for himself and bringing out that dog in him, man, which I think a lot of people, that's kind of one of the critiques is it feels so effortless, so easy. It feels like he doesn't really care. I think what's the nonchalant gimmick that people like to say about Shea. We saw the dog in Shea tonight, and it was fun to see.
Yeah, I mean, the emotion definitely comes out for Shea more. It feels like the last couple of years, and we talked about that a little bit earlier on in the season, but with the ups and downs, we haven't seen it as much. But yeah, I mean, Dub was asked about it, and they're like, "Have you thought about the Shea emotion thing?" He showed a lot of emotion tonight. He's like, that's new for y'all, but we kind of see it all the time in practice. Especially, it feels like Shea's as the leader, just kind of tries to keep that cool head, stay calm type thing. But it feels like there has been a little bit of shift to more emotion with Shea. And I mean, just also we talk about how they attacked the Spurs defense. Shea being relentless the way that he was. Start off again, I think 1 for 4, and then finished just under 50%. Absolutely took over down the stretch of the first quarter. Had a really good end to the first quarter and the half, and then the 3rd quarter. Just all in all, the things that he was able to do on both ends. It's rare that you have a superstar player who's so complete on both sides of the ball, who is a defender, who plays his butt off on the defensive end like Shea does, because he has to carry this, incredible offensive load. We're asking him to do, create shots for himself and others and do it in one of the most taxing ways possible, consistently generating those mid-range buckets and fighting through contact on the offensive end. But he just does it. He's got the motor to do it, and that's incredibly rare, and it's a big reason why this team works. We think about, people like to talk about, there's, such a good defense and Shea surrounded by all these good defenders. That doesn't always matter. We think about Trey and John, what's happening with them right now. Obviously, they're not nearly as efficient as Shea offensively either, but Trey specifically is still a really good offensive player, but because he can't play defense, teams aren't, he got traded for basically nothing, and they're we're kind of better off without him at this point. Shea's ability to not only be one of the best offensive players on the planet, one of the best scorers ever, but also be hyper consistent and play defense is the reason why this team works the way that it does to the historic level that it does. And I hope at some point people realize that, but it's just, how many superstar players are you going to see go out there and block Victor Wembanyama, regardless of size, never mind a guard like Shea. It's just stuff that you're not seeing. And he's only a few blocks away. I just read from, passing Russell Westbrook on the all-time guard block list, which is crazy because Russ gets all those blocks, but I think it speaks to Shea as one of the best guard shot blockers of all time, and also his willingness to go after those blocks and continue to kind of stick his nose in on the defensive end, even though he's not he's bigger for a guard, but he's not Wemby or a Chet or anything like that.
All right, I have to go, guys, but Appreciate
good seeing you,
you
man.
for letting me on. Appreciate.
sure,
Yeah, of
man.
course,
It was
man.
good seeing you all
See you
too.
again.
Yeah, good seeing you, bro.
I was able to get the W.
Yeah.
All
See you
right,
again for
Thunder up.
another one. Hey, Thunder up,
See
man.
you again.
The road, man. Yeah, Cohen. I mean, we talked about the stars, and the stars are like, they deserve to be talked about. But the role guys, like the bench guys, really stepped up in a huge way. Specifically, we talk about the process that we saw the first few games, and it wasn't working out because guys wasn't hitting shots. And it feels like tonight that process really worked out, specifically for the guy who probably was the subject for most of the chagrin on Christmas Day was Alex Caruso.
Yeah.
He was the bald-headed demon tonight, man. He had,
Oh, yeah.
I think he had 5 of 8 shooting. I had the box score up here. Here we go. Yeah, he had 5 of 8 shooting. He had 13 points, 2 of 4 from 3. He had 4 assists, which was tied for second on the team. And he only had 1 steal on top of that. Like he wasn't even cookies and creaming it. He was like straight up just like getting buckets offensively, like in transition.
He got that and one where he got hit in the face.
He
Really
had
nice
that
floater.
He had the like little double clutch, like with Wemby trailing him. Like he was nasty tonight, man.
Yeah, the only blunder was that one missed layup, which was honestly just a good offensive or defensive play from, I think it was Harrison Barnes, who kind of caught up with him to put a hand on it, and I just don't think he knew someone was coming. But Caruso was awesome. Like, he is a game changer for this team in such a big way as a defensive player, of course. But really, like, in that run, Caruso shot well from 3 and made so many big plays, and if this team is going to go back-to-back, which I believe they will, Caruso is going to be a big part of that. Like, his shooting started off really rough last season. If people remember, like, last season, like, he was around like 29% or something like that for a good bit of last year, and everybody's like, oh, is Caruso going to be, playable on the offensive end? Like, is he going to work out for this team when it comes to playoff games? And he was so big for us offensively in a number of games, knocking down those threes. He is someone who's good and is willing to attack those closeouts. Caruso's just a really, really smart player that I just trust will make a positive impact on a nightly basis, especially when it matters the most. But like, it's coming along a little bit with the 3-point shot. Like, he's kind of still feels like he's someone who gets into rhythm over the course of a season. And over the he's hit 3 of 6 now in the last couple of games, 3 of 7 over the last 3. Like, he's taking a look at the calendar here. He's been shooting better. Like, it feels like the shot is coming around a little bit. But his ability to make those defensive plays and generate those easy opportunities on the defensive end and get us in transition is always going to be super valuable. But he's someone I knew was going to bounce back. Like, there's no way a guy as good as him has a game as bad as he did and doesn't bounce back in a big way. Like, he's just too good for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, he was huge tonight. Even I think in like the second half, whenever he came back into the game, Diggs made the adjustment to put him on Castle, which, that's where most of San Antonio's offense was tonight. Castle had 20 points on 6 of 13 shooting, just a hair under 50% shooting. Shot 3 of 5 from deep because, of course, he did against the Thunder.
Bro, I can't believe he is actually doing PJ Washington stuff, bro. It's driving me up a wall. Like, I'm going to read y'all real quick because I need to vent. His last 10 games, 1 of 8 against the Jazz from 3, 0 of 3, 0 of 3, 1 of 3, 0 of 1, 2 of 4, 0 for 2, 1 for 7, 0 for 1. Over the course of his last 9 games leading up to this, he has hit 3, 4, 5 threes in total, and he goes 3 of 5 against us tonight. And I don't want to hear the people saying, oh, they're open this and that. Like, he's hitting, they're like 4 or 5 feet behind the 3-point line sometimes. Yeah. It's crazy. He just like locks in against us, and credit to him because he's been one of the biggest reasons why they held up, but he's been playing, like, his offense has really been struggling as of late. And against us, he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to drop 20 on, he did end up below 50% shooting, but 5 of 7 from the line, 3 of 5 from 3, like 6 of 13 from the floor is pretty good. He's shooting 25.9% from 3 on the season. It's just ridiculous. Like, that is one of the reasons why the Thunder lost the first few times, is because if Castle's hitting threes, they're way harder to guard. Anyways, that's just the tangent I had to go on.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned Dylan Harper too. He made a 3 early in the game, and the broadcast was like, he's shooting 19% from 3 on the season. It's like, brother, what?
Yeah, he's really been struggling from the outside, and just, I mean, he only hit 1 against us tonight, right? He didn't hit 2. I'm pretty sure.
Harper
did
hit
he
2.
even shoot? Oh, he did it too? Oh my God, yeah, he did it too. I remember this. Bro, yeah, he's at 24.7% on the season now. Like, it's
That's
just
hilarious.
tough, man. It's the way it goes. Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes you just got bad shooting luck. And
Mhm.
shout out to our guy Dolan on the podcast who's brought it up in a tweet. Like the Thunder coming into this game, I think over like our last 10 or 5 or so. I'll find his tweet, but
I think he said
started
15,
going this
wasn't
thing. It might have been 15 actually. I think you're right. I think it was 5 and 10 combined, which is usually 15.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, over our last 15 games, 31.1% from 3, and that's our worst 15-game stretch in the last 3 seasons. Meanwhile, our opponents have shot 38.8%, which is the 5th best stretch that our opponents have had in a 15-game stretch over the last 3 seasons. Like teams have been shooting unbelievably well against us.
Mm.
And yeah, part of it is the defense, but also we're just getting bad shooting luck, like as of late. And I know that sounds like insane, but it is a real thing in basketball. The variance in 3-point shots is why you see a lot more big leads blown sometimes, or these crazy blowout games. Like the game we had against the Hornets, like they physically could not miss.
The Hawks too.
The Hawks game was unbelievable. I mean, when Nikhil hits a left-handed 3 from half court, like at that point you just gotta be like, bro, what is going on? They were hitting bank threes. Like Vit Krejci was coming around like screens and hitting bank threes from like the logo. I was like, man, we gotta stop. We gotta stop. Anyways, that was my tangent. Sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine. Another guy who was huge off the bench tonight in his minutes and has been playing a lot better. I think it was the Heat game where he really like started to step up more. Isaiah Joe, man, 8 points in 14 minutes, and he was 3-3 from the field. Hit both of his 3-point attempts. I think he drew an offensive foul, and there was one possession, I think, in the second quarter that he got switched up on Dylan Harper, and Dylan Harper was like, bet, like I'm about to go get a bucket. And Isaiah Joe put that man in prison.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, Zay's awesome. Like he's a guy that we're also going to need. And I think he was big also he didn't like, get a lot of shot opportunities. Like how many shots did he take today? He took
3.
Yeah, he took 3. So like it wasn't a lot of shots, but 3, 2 from 3, like that's huge. Mm-hmm. If he can just give us 8 points in a game, that is so unbelievably valuable. And his shooting has been, not really great as of late. And he's a guy that's such a good shooter. I trust it'll come around. And like that was a big difference maker because he's one of those guys that to open up space for Shea and Dub and these guys to drive, we kept, he was consistent like in the corner. We're like be in the corner and like force them to go out and get out on you. And it worked. Like it generated some good shots. So Zay was great. Yeah, he's one of those guys that's a difference maker in terms of just the gravity that he brings, even if he isn't, knocking down shots all that much. He also he's been pretty good. It feels like I don't know the exact numbers, but eye test wise, like pretty reliable on that midi sometimes that he brings, like that off the dribble midi. He's one of our better closeout attackers, I would say. Also, last thing. On the Stephon Castle stuff, I got to bring it up one more time. He's at 33 threes total this season, 9 of them against us. So just under a third of his threes the entire season have been against us. We've played them 4 times. They have played almost 40 games. Like, it's just the proportions are off. Is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, no, that is crazy. I will grant you that. And then the last one to talk about. I mean. I'd say both of them. We mentioned Kenrich Williams in his defense. He did hit a big 3, I think, after Shea's 3 in the third quarter, which, I think that was the one that gave us 40 points in the third quarter. Kenrich was huge tonight. He's been playing really good here recently.
He's so good.
I think, what was it? Which game was it? I think it might have been the Jazz game. Kenrich also had a really good game. So, like, he's been putting in the work, and he's a guy that – he's kind of doing the Wiggins minutes from a couple of years ago. Every now and then Wiggins would catch DMPs. Every now and then he'd come in and play like 15, 20 minutes. It feels like that's kind of what Kenny's been doing here recently. And to his credit, like it hasn't affected him. He's been earning rhythm on his jump shots. He's coming out there. He's playing defense. And wouldn't you know it, the guy's out there hustling. So shout out Kenny Hustle.
Yeah, Kenrich is one of those guys that I think regardless of health, he should get minutes. Like if we're talking about turning around the season, it feels like Kenrich has been a big part of that. Going through some ups and downs, but 21 against the Grizzlies, 8 rebounds, 2 steals against against the Jazz. Only played 8 minutes, but 2 points. He had a steal. He had an assist. Tonight, only 3 points, but phenomenal defense on Victor Wembanyama. Like the physicality he brings in general, Kenrich is just so good. he's just really, really good. And he is one of our more reliable threats. He doesn't shoot a lot of threes, like only 1 of 1 tonight, but was 3 of 7 against the Grizzlies, 2 of 3 against the Hornets. He's at 40%, 40.5% on the season. And he's one of the guys I most trust right now to knock down threes. If Kenrich gets a 3-ball, I expect it to go in at this rate. And just having guys that bring that type of physicality, he fights on the boards, like the hustle plays. We've been searching for that dog for a little bit. It feels like that we've kind of now gotten back ever since the Grizzlies game. Kenrich is a dog. He's that type of player. So regardless of the health, I think Kenrich should get some more minutes when the when the playoffs roll around. I think he's earned to at least, he hasn't got to get like 20 a game or anything, but give him like 5 to 10 minutes, and I think he can be a difference maker. He was multiple times in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. And then Jalen Williams was the last guy that I wanted to mention. Weirdly enough, he shot the 3rd most shots on the team with 10. Was 2 of 7 from 3, so didn't have like a great percentage. But we talk about the stats. He had 11 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists to 0 turnovers, and 2 blocks. I thought that he played really well defensively. Of course, the buckets that he made was timely, and he's a guy that is kind of like a poor man's Isaiah Hartenstein in terms of like the fact that he can create out of the short roll, out of the DHOs. And we talked about a few podcasts ago about what much we've been missing that as an action to get our offense going and create easier buckets for our offensive players. And a guy that, again, can set screens, like can set big body screens that can, get defenders off of you. And, it's been welcome to have him these past couple games. And, hopefully as, he catches more of a rhythm and he gets more healthy, he's able to, get that efficiency back a little bit more on top of all the other good stuff he does. But yeah, Jay Will was great tonight.
Yeah. We talked about the screen setting is big, him being able to stretch the floor like that. He's not been, knocking down threes like crazy this season. The percentage has been down, but being a threat to do that, I feel like we talked about missing Hartenstein. The fact that we haven't even had Jay Will to, be that iHeart light as someone who can play make at the big spot, can be effective in the middle of the floor if we need him to, has also been something that's really been hampering us. Like, we've got this great depth, but when you're down to just Chet and Carlson brings a lot of stuff, but he's not that same big body screener. He's not that, charge taker, even if Jay Will's not a big rim protector, although he did have that one emphatic block tonight. Jay Will just brings a lot that we've been missing, really. As a screen setter, as a big body, as a rebounder, playmaker, all this type of stuff. The offense works way better when we have that playmaking type of big, whether it is him or it is iHeart or both, So it was really good to see Jay Will back. The only criticism I have of the game is I really wish he hit that 3 at the end of the 3rd quarter, because the building literally might have crumbled. Like, they might not have been able to play the 4th quarter. When he got that 3 off, I was so sure it was going in. It was so online, it just, sailed over the top of the rim. But I was like, man, if Jay Will hits this, and it's like Jay Will out of all people, he gets the crowd going the way that he does. I'm like, man, the building is going to burn down. Which, shout out to any of you that were in the building tonight.
Awesome.
The crowd was unbelievable. Like, it sounded like it was a big game, and it was. So it was cool to hear.
Yeah, it would have been nice to be commended on the crowd on the broadcast, but that's
I don't know. I don't think we touched on it that much. But yeah, the broadcast was rough tonight. It was rough. Yeah. I'm never really a broadcast kind of guy. I think most broadcasts are fine outside like a couple in the league, and it's kind of the ones that everybody doesn't love, like mainly the Warriors and Celtics ones. But tonight it was crazy. Like, I felt like I was watching a different game sometimes. Like, there was the foul and the Shea 3-point attempt that he got, like, he was emphatic about. You never see Shea react like that. He does not, even when he gets truly fouled, he's like, damn, and then kind of runs back down the court. Like, he was like, what are we looking at? And then they show the replay, and he so clearly gets hit on the wrist, which you can't do, like, or the forearm even, not even the wrist. Yeah. And they were like, looks kind of clean to me. I'm like, what are we talking about? And then the Kenrich Williams one where they were like so sure it was going to be a reckless closeout. When he didn't close out, like there was no closeout. They were like, yeah, that's going to be one of them. And then when they didn't call it, Reggie was like, did they say that that's not a reckless closeout? And Noe was like, yeah, that's what they said. And he goes, I don't know. Like, I guess, we're just calling it as it goes now, or like, just calling it by, go with the flow, whatever he said. I was like, what are we talking about? Like, it was clearly a foul. Like, yeah, Cambridge was up on him. It didn't give him a lot of space to land. Like, yeah, it was a foul, 100%. But there was clearly not a flagrant. I was like, yeah, that's not going to be a reckless closeout. And they were like, yeah, within 2 seconds. They didn't even go to the monitor for more than like 2 to 3 seconds. They're like, yeah, that's not a reckless closeout. He even took a little bit of a step back to move his foot out of the way. And they were like, and Reggie specifically was like, I don't know about that. I'm like, what are we? I usually act like Reggie a lot more than most people. I think Reggie's pretty good. I don't think he's bad the way that a lot of people do, but it was just, I don't know, it was crazy tonight. I felt like I was watching a different game whenever they showed a replay and then they said something. I'm like, hello? Are we seeing the same screen?
Not only that, I'm like, I don't even know if it's Reggie or NBC or just like NBA media as a whole. Like, everybody's so, two things, like everybody's so ready to put the Spurs over, like, you know, like to have them ascend to like the top of the NBA because everybody wants to talk about Victor Wembanyama and they want to talk about all these young guards and everything. But also, like, everybody's so ready for the champion to crumble because, you know, that's what we've seen these past few years. Like, all we've known for, you know, like the past 7-8 years is parity, and that's what, you know, they think that people want to see. And, you know, whether that's the case or not, it really felt like, you know, anytime the Spurs did something, there was excitement in their voice. It was like, oh, Victor Wembanyama, oh, Castle, look at this guy. And then Shea hits the bucket. It's like, oh yeah, the MVP going to work. Like, like there's a distinct difference in the tones. And like, you know, whatever. Like, we love it when you hate us. We love it when you count us out. Like, you know, you hate us because Janice, whatever you want to say. Like, it's kind of weird. It's kind of annoying, but like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But, you know, we kind of talked about, you know, before we started the podcast, I think the reason why Reggie specifically has it out for us, and, you know, it happened whenever Shea, you know, pushed off of Wemby, which, by the way, like, what Shea did to Wemby on that play is much different than the shoulder bump that Shea does all the time. Like, Shea even knew immediately. He's like, oh, yeah. Like, I went a little bit far with that one. Like, he didn't argue it much at all. Like, whenever Shea did that push off and, you know, fully extended his arm, you know, Reggie Miller was like, the Indiana Pacers are like, oh, where was that call back in June? And it's like, oh, like, you told us why you're really mad, Reggie. Like, we could see you. Like, we understand now.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It was just one of the, it was just weird. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like the commentary has been that bad towards the Thunder for the most part this season. I feel like you can tell. I mean, I think it's a lot of like the Thunder were obviously always going to be villains. Every NBA champion ever, for the most part, is a villain. Like, the only one that really wasn't is like when the Cavs came back from down 3-1 and beat the Warriors, and then they added Kevin Durant, and that was like the only time where the villain of the league wasn't like the reigning NBA champion, for the most part. But like, as soon as we were going to be really good, like, I think a lot of people for some reason are surprised that people don't like the Thunder. Of course they do, because we're really good. Like, everybody hates really good teams. It's the way it goes. I hated the Golden State Warriors. I don't really hate teams now because like I do this as a job, and also like, you know, I've grown up to the point where I'm like, I don't really care like that. Like, people have animosity towards the best teams in the league. It happened to the Warriors. You know, it happened to like the Celtics won, and everybody last year was like, can't wait to see that they're frauds. Like, the same things happen to the Thunder. They're like, every time a team beats the Thunder, it's like they've been figured out. And then when the Spurs beat us not 1, not 2, but 3 times, it's like they now have their kryptonite. The Thunder are going to crumble. Even some Thunder fans were like, what's going to happen against the Spurs in the playoffs? Like, the answer is we're going to win. Like, we're just a better team. But it's different. Like, the Thunder have never been this. They've never been the villain. And so, you know, I think it's just a little bit of adjusting to. I don't know why people are surprised that we're not liked when we have the best player in the world, in my opinion, in Shea, and this amazing defense, as well as, you know, they're the best team. They won the championship last year, and now even more so. Like, they've been so dominant this season. Like, they're on pace for, again, one of the best point differentials ever. The second you see kind of a crack in the armor, people are going to poke at it relentlessly. It's the way it goes with all the best teams. But it was just specifically weird tonight to hear it on commentary. Like, I did not expect to kind of hear it like that. And, you know, it does make sense a little bit with Wemby being as insane as he is. Like, he is game breaking. He is one of the best in the world. Like, he's a top 5, top 6 player at the minimum. But it wasn't even so much to me as them like hyping up Wemby and stuff like that. It was also like, there was the one play where Chet got hit bumped by Wemby and fell to the ground, and he, you know, got fouled. And Reggie was like, and look at Wemby give him a little shove afterwards, and they showed the replay, and there was no such shove. And then he was like, just saying, get out of the way. Like, I was like, well, the replay didn't show that happened. Like, yeah, I was like, what's happening? Like, it was just, I feel like they were just really trying to continue to build the Thunder Spurs rivalry narrative, which has been building 100%. Like, it's something I think eventually it's going to be true that the Thunder and Spurs are two of the biggest rivals in the NBA, and it's on its path. But for the moment, like, I feel like sometimes people are trying to create stuff that's not really there. Like, also the first play of the game, everyone's like, oh, Wemby dunked on Chet, like put it on his head. Like, Chet blocked the shot and it went off the backboard and went in. I was like, what are we looking at? He just didn't get dunked on. That just didn't happen. Yeah. There was a play later in the game where it was more so like that. And people didn't talk about that one, but the first play of the game, like, oh my God, Wemby got Chet again. I'm like, this is like, Chet doesn't ever talk about this as like a personal thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think it's just pushing the rivalry, which is of course, good for the league. Like, it's cool. I'm happy to see the Spurs be as competitive with us as they are, because it wouldn't be fun if the Thunder were just running over the league it would be fun. Never mind. I don't know what I was going to say. If we were running over the league and won by 50 every night, I can't lie. I'd be having fun. Who am I kidding?
I'd be having a blast, man.
Yeah, I'd be having a blast. We did it at the beginning of the season. I was having a blast. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, and then everything you said, and also like, the narrative that people are trying to push about how the Thunder were trolling the Spurs new winning tradition. Like, we haven't been doing that since, the Oklahoma City Thunder have been a thing of like, the drum rumble hitting the drum and we clapping with the drum. Like, if anything, you guys took that from us.
Oh my God. We've done it literally every single game. Like, every game since the Thunder moved, I was like, I thought I was having psychosis. I'm like, have we not been doing this? Like, every Thunder game I've been to, has this not been a thing? And then I saw other people talk about it. I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like, I tweet about it. And actually that the first tweet that there was about that got deleted because they were like, oh, never mind. And then another account tweeted out, and now it's been community noted that, like, no, the Thunder do this before every game. And I saw someone say, oh no, but it's the Thunder mocking them with the hand motion. Like, they're doing the, skull thing, which they're not. If you look at the crowd, no one is doing that. Like, our MC is doing that, telling people to clap. But that's because he's telling the people to clap. Like, why are you going to clap down here? If you're doing it up here, you can kind of show the crowd it's happening. Yeah, you look at the crowd, big. No one's doing that motion. Like, and I don't even think Wemby was like, oh, like, they're doing it because of us. Like, I don't even think he was taking it that way. It was just, it feels like some of the hype behind the rivalry is trying to be manufactured by people when it doesn't need to be. Like, clearly, Wemby doesn't like Chet. The Spurs don't like us. I don't think the Thunder love the Spurs all that much.
They don't like Castle.
Yeah, I mean, Shea's like, yeah, talk about like Shea talking smack to Castle. That's something that's like real. And like, we don't got to make up, oh, they're mad that the Spurs are mad that the Thunder been doing a tradition that they've done since 2008. Like, Wemby was like hardly born at that point, Like, I was 8 years old when that started. I'm 25 now. It's been 17 years they've been doing this thing. It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's definitely wild. All right, I think we can close the door on this game of the Spurs. It was great to get back in the win column on the Spurs. Great to, conquer our demons, if you will. But it does not get easier after this, and we'll talk about that after a word from our sponsors. Cone, do you know who our sponsor is today?
It's above my head in the corner. It's right here.
It is absolutely the FanDuel Sportsbook Network. I just got to, as I do, I like to update you guys on how my plays have been. So let me pull this up. So I took this one live. As you can see, everything in the Nuggets-Pelicans game went well. Peyton Watson, by the way, been absolutely killing it. Reigning Western Conference Player of the Week.
He's been insane.
Yeah, all of those hit. 31 points for Peyton Watson, 31 for Trey Murphy, 35 for Murray, and 13 rebounds for Derek Queen. Then you go down to the Thunder game. Shea, 25, hit. Dub, 15, hit. This is where I missed. Chet Holmgren, 8 points. I got AJ, 10 points. I got Dylan Harper, 10 points. I got Kevin Durant, 20 points. Chet just needed 2 more points. And what was so frustrating, Cone, is they took him out whenever Shea came back in the fourth quarter, I think with like 7-ish minutes left, and Chet didn't come back in the game.
Yeah, that's tough, man. It's the way it goes sometimes, especially when we kind of pull away at the end. It doesn't end up coming back in. But, I mean, good reads overall. I mean, even though Peyton Watson's been scoring a ton, going for Peyton Watson 25 is bold, and it worked out.
It was live. It was live. So like
Okay.
I think he had 20. I think he had 18 at halftime or something like that.
Okay.
So it wasn't crazy, and because I had a 50% profit boost live, so I wasn't trying to do anything like too crazy. And I was like, Chet had 6 points. I was like, surely he gets 10. He did not.
It's the way it goes sometimes, man.
This is the one that I took, prior to the games today so far. Heroes got 15, Brooks got 15, Shea got 25, Mitchell got 10, Peyton Watson 15, Trey Murphy 15, Randall 20. I took that as soon as I saw Ant was out. Giannis barely got his 25, but he got it. Buzelis got 10, Amon got 15, Nikhil got 15, Luka just got his 25. I'm going to ask your opinion on this, Cone, because I think I already lost my cash out. But do you think this is going to hit? I need just Shaden Sharp to get 20 points. He needs 8 more points. But I need Curry to get 16 more points, and they're currently up
26.
26, yeah, sorry. God, I was looking at the 6, not the 1. Yeah, 26 at the minute 37 left.
Yeah, that's probably tough for Steph to get the 20.
Yeah, it's cooked.
I mean, it's today's NBA. You never know. They might get hot from 3, and then suddenly the game's a little bit closer. Like the Warriors can blow it sometimes. So
I mean, Denny Avdia's not there tonight for the Blazers, to go get to the free throw line a million times. So they definitely missed that. So yeah, that was probably cooked. But hey, just because mine is cooked doesn't mean yours has to be cooked. Go to FanDuel, place a parlay today. They've been doing this like NBA wildcard thing. There's like 4 options or 4 possibilities. Tonight I got a 50% profit boost, but I've seen like 25%. I've seen like no sweat bets. They've got all kinds of stuff every day. Sometimes they do deposit bonus. Sometimes they do profit boost. Sometimes they do no sweat bets. Sometimes they do bet back token. With the NFL playoffs going on right now, you'll jump on FanDuel, make a parlay, do that today, and good luck to you guys on that. On FanDuel. So we're going to look ahead to the next few games because, as I mentioned, it doesn't get much easier for the Thunder coming up. Obviously, the Spurs are a really good team, but this is one of the toughest stretches of our season. So
probably the toughest, depending on if Jokic gets back on February 1st.
Yeah. So I mean, starting off, we've got the Houston Rockets at Houston on Thursday. That will be on Prime Video. Saturday, we play the Heat once again, and that will be at Miami. Then after that, we go to Cleveland on Monday to play against them. They've been playing a lot better here recently. We get a little bit of a break going to Milwaukee and Indiana, but like even still, like Milwaukee is, they have Giannis Antetokounmpo, so like they're always going to be a threat. The Pacers, you can't overlook the Pacers. They are a team that is going to go out there and they're going to play hard, as we saw second game of the season taking us to double overtime. That's going to be a tough game. And the Raptors also, like a really, really good team this season. That shocked a lot of people with the way they've been playing. They've kind of, fallen off from the top of the East as of late, but still a really formidable team. A lot of really good players.
4 seed.
Yeah, 4 seed in the Eastern Conference is absolutely crazy. My standings predictions were blown up off that. So Pelicans, kind of same situation. Like I think they're better than the record shows. They have a lot of really good, talented people. Trey Murphy's been playing out of his mind. Like if he wants to put on a tryout for the Thunder, come on, Trey Murphy, put on a good tryout for us. And then after that, we play the Timberwolves at Minnesota, the Nuggets at Denver, Orlando Magic at home. Orlando Magic, a good team. At San Antonio, Houston at home, at Lakers, at Phoenix. And then you get Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Cleveland again. So it like shores off a little bit. But like these next, 5, 10.
Next month, honestly.
Games. Yeah. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, man. It's a lot. The people were complaining about the Thunder schedule. Like this is the moment to go ahead and put it together. And it's nice to see us grab this first win in a confident way against the Spurs, and being the Grizzlies missing a bunch of guys, and like even the Heat have been a decent team so far this season, even though they've fallen off from the beginning of the year. Like there are a lot of tests, and I'm excited to see them. Like if we this is a good moment to decide, do we really need that trade? Like at the deadline, like, are we going to be aggressive and make a move, or are we going to be fine? Like this is the moment where we can kind of figure that out, stress test some stuff. it'll be fun. I'm really excited about it because it's fun to beat up on bad teams, but it's even more fun if we go ahead and get those big wins that people have been complaining about this season. Oh, the Thunder didn't beat this team yet or that team. But yeah, the Rockets, it'll be a fun one. They've been struggling as of late. They've been, now that they won tonight, they've been 500 since December 1st. Really bad fourth quarter, specifically their 3-point shooting. We talk about our 3-point shooting. Theirs has been worse than ours has been. I know a lot of people have been freaking out about ours. So it'll be fun to see if they can go ahead and, ramp it up. That first game of the season was unbelievable. Still one of the games of the year. Cleveland, last year was that big moment, and they've been playing better, but they're so up and down. I'm very intrigued to see how, even more so how they look against us, because they kind of have these inconsistencies. And then Denver, you talk about February 1st, is Jokic going to be back at that point? Even if he's not, they've been holding up so well without Jokic. They beat the Pelicans tonight. They just beat the Bucks. They beat the Celtics recently, beat the Sixers. In there, I think it was the game against the Heat that Jokic got injured. They are 1-1, 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, 3-3, 4-3. They're 5-3 in 8 games without Jokic. And you talk about Peyton Watson going crazy and all that. Regardless of who's out there, it'll be a fun test going up against the Nuggets. So it's good, man. I mean, we've got to, you've got to go ahead and get battle tested. And if you think the Thunder have been sleepwalking a little bit, they haven't quite had that dog. This is a stretch where they're going to have it, and they've been showing it the last few games.
Yeah, this is where we got to wake up. This is where the rubber meets the road. Yeah, so I mean, it'll be really fun to see how the Thunder respond to this. I think that Dub even said, if in the post game for the Peacock broadcast, he came out and said that it felt like the team kind of hit a wall. They're in the late December run, and he's like, but it was good because we was able to come out of it now, and it feels like we're coming out from behind that wall. It feels like we're starting to get momentum once again, and we need it because these are formidable teams in the Western Conference, specifically at the top of the West, and guys that we will probably be playing in the playoffs. Have a chance to match up with in the playoffs. So absolutely, we need to see some good showing. And yeah, if Trey Murphy drops 45 on us somehow, I'm just gonna say just blank check, man. Go get Trey Murphy, Sam Presti. We need him. Presti camera.
I mean, it'll be. I mean, the last game before the deadline is our last one against the Spurs of the season, February 4th, with the deadline being the next day. So yeah, I mean, it'll be good, but a lot of really good teams in the Western Conference. How have we not played the Wolves in OKC yet? How was our second game also in Minnesota? How did that happen?
Crazy.
Oh wait, did we play them? Oh no, we did. That was the game we won pretty comfortably against them towards the start of the season, the NBA Cup. We did play them once in OKC. Okay. I thought I was they were just first couple games. Y'all get your butts to Minnesota. I was like, what are we?
Country writing history.
My fault.
I won't ask for a record on that just because it's a pretty big sample size, but well, I mean, let's look at these next couple. So Rockets, Miami, Cavs, Bucks. That's our 4-game road trip that we have coming up here, and Houston, and then we go out east. What do you think our record is in that road trip going?
I'm gonna say, so we're doing Rockets, Heat, Cavs, Bucks, those 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go 4-0. I think we get it done. Hardest game is definitely in Houston, but in Cleveland's also no joke. Even in Miami, they can be a little bit tough, but I think we've got it back. I think we've got that momentum back. We are so due for some positive shooting regression. It's ridiculous. I think it'll come along. I think we saw a little bit of it in this game. I think Dub getting back more and more to himself. Hopefully iHeart is back here at some point soon too, but I'm anticipating I think it would be our first and only fully healthy game for the most part at some point here soon. Because even in the NBA Cup game, when iHeart came back, I think we were still missing Isaiah Joe, right? For some of those games. Mm-hmm. I don't think we've had a single game this season yet where we've been fully healthy, not counting Sorber, of course, and Topic, who, shout out to Topic. We haven't mentioned it here on the podcast, but seems like he completed chemotherapy. He's back on the court, which is so cool to see. And it sounds like there might even be a chance he plays this season, which I wasn't anticipating. And if he doesn't, completely understand, but it'd be really cool to see him get the chance to go out there and hoop this same season. But not counting those guys, we haven't had a game with everybody in the lineup, and it'd be cool if we could get one of those here coming up, but it'll be a tough road trip. I think we're built for it, though. I think we've got our momentum back. I think we go into that matchup against the Pacers back in OKC on a 7-game win streak.
I love it. I need to see that. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I can't let you out optimistically, so I will also go for
That is your thing.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. I think the Rockets game is the toughest. They have been struggling recently, but they also are getting healthy now. Şengün's been back in the lineup. Amin Thompson's been playing great here recently. Kevin Durant's been playing great. Shout out my guy Reed Shepherd. He's been doing awesome, but we're probably the worst team for Reed Shepherd to play against. So, take the under on Reed points. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, and it'll be especially if we could get iHeart back for that game. Like, it's unfortunate that it's the next one here, because would love if we had a little bit more time, because we want to talk about the rebounding. Like, that's a game where the rebounding needs to be on point, because that's what they're going to do. They might not hit some threes, but they're going to grab offensive rebounds, Adams and Şengün. So it'd be cool if we had him back, but I'm not sure if he is. So it's a good thing we at least have J-Will back, because that'll help out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we get off here, just want to give a shout out to the chat. I did a real bad job of including the chat, so I just want to kind of go through and mention everybody. We got Daniel saying happy Tuesday. What's up, everyone? It's actually Wednesday now, Daniel, but happy that to you.
Well, I think when he sent it, it was Tuesday.
It was. You're correct. TJ's been active in the chat. Shout out TJ. Said they got the W.
Yeah.
What? What's up, fellas? And then TJ just saying a bunch of other stuff in the chat. We love TJ. Shout out to him. Avid listener of the podcast. Matt Evil saying great win for you guys. I think the fact you guys played so well offensively only further opens up some uncomfortable questions about a certain wing that was hurt this game. What do you think, Con? Do you think our offensive outburst was because Dort wasn't in the lineup?
I don't think it was, but I do think there is an interesting conversation to be had about this offseason. I don't expect Dort to get traded this year. I don't think we make a big move at the deadline like some people do. I think we ride it out for the most part. It's never been a super pressy thing to make that big swing mid-season. But, I will say, like, as AJ emerges as a helpful defender, like, as we have so many defenders on this roster with Kaysen and Caruso, like, Dort as that defensive specialist, that skill set becomes a little bit more expendable. He still is really good for certain matchups. Like, there's more physical players. Lou Dort is still a really good basketball player and still does a lot for this team. And I think people forget that because we've got so many defenders. But, when we talk about the ability to attack closeouts, that is one of his bigger weaknesses. And I do think against San Antonio, that's something we need. Like, we need quick decision making. We need attacking those closeouts, things like that. So, it's, I think, a conversation, because his contract, is, if we decline his team option, that's up this summer. And Isaiah Hartenstein's is also up in the air. And iHeart's been really good this season. And with, Sorber a little bit more of a question mark because he hasn't played this season with the ACL injury, I do think there's a world where Lou Dort's gone this offseason. I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but I think it's something that's going to have to be a conversation at the very least.
Yeah, for sure. And to Dort's credit, he's been playing a lot better here recently, specifically offensively.
He was awesome in that Memphis game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But, kind of like you were saying about guys being more decisive with the basketball and making quick decisions, Dort, he'll make a quick decision. Like, it's usually to shoot or to drive. The ball doesn't really get worked around once it gets back to Dort. To his credit, he's kind of a little bit of a ball stopper. Once the ball hits his hands, it's usually going up in some way, shape, or form. And sometimes that's what we need, especially into the shot clock. Feels like Dort gets a lot of into the shot clock grenades, but other times it feels like there's some of them that are pretty up there in the shot clock. So, I love Dort. Obviously, like, as I've said many times, like, we don't win the league without Lou Dort. Game 5 performance against the Nuggets, like we don't win that series without Lou Dort. So, always have a place in my heart. But offensively, I think that I can see what he's saying about our team, kind of moving different offensively when Dort's off the floor. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, I do think a big thing is just continuing to find lineups that make sense for Lou to be part of. Like, there are some of those lineups where it's not like I think Lou is most effective when it's like Shea and AJ out there and then Lou thrown in, as opposed to like Shea, Kaysen, and Lou. Like if there's too many just like of those more heavily defensive guys as opposed to those like shot creators, then I think sometimes Lou's value gets lost a little bit. He's best, in my opinion, when it's in a lineup like with a Shea and an AJ and a Chet, for example. And you're able to just size him as a guy who, for the most part, just sticks in the corner. He does knock down some of those biddies sometimes. Like, that's kind of a shot he has in his bag at points. But as just a three-point shooter who plays really good defense on the other end and creates opportunities for others, I think that's where his value kind of most comes in. So just continuing to find the right lineups to utilize him, and I think is the big thing right now.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Continuing with the comments, we got One Love saying the fact Chet guarded Wemby for a while made a big difference. Our confidence came back. Love that point there. Kenny Hustle is great on Wemby. I agree. 17 blocks for the team. Love that. Oh, yeah, that was from Leone Brooks. I already did One Love. So we got, what is this? Authentic, spelled in a very different way. So we played faster. Everyone contributed. Defense was better. Block City. Love that as well. Scott Ashley says that man will never get credit for how good he is on defense. Talking about Shea, the dude got vertical and blocked Wemby, bro. Absolutely. Like, can't say enough about Shea. And defensively, I think he's both overrated and underrated, if that's possible. Like, I don't think he belongs on Defensive Player of the Year ballots. Like, he has the past couple of years, but I also don't think he's just a cone on defense either.
Hey, chilling cones. Chill.
And then, of course, trying to see, I think that might be it. Yep, that is all we have. So, yeah, shout out to you guys in the comments. You guys have been active the whole chat, even though I haven't addressed you one time until the end. So, appreciate you guys for that. I will do better about integrating you in the future. But with that being said, if you're still here right now, or if you're listening to the pod retroactively, go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out when we go live. Comment down below. Do you think the Thunder have the Spurs figured out? Are you worried about this next stretch of games? Do you think the Thunder got the swagger back? Let us know in the comments. And, go ahead and find us anywhere you listen to your podcast. Leave a positive rating, a 5-star review. We would appreciate that. I think 5-star rating, positive review. It's like, whatever. Hope everybody has a great night. God bless.